guys, King of Charmanders here. Today we are your judge, your jury, and your analyst, and today I bring to you my top 5 teams for the Great League Remix. Now, doing a little bit of studying, it doesn't take me very long to analyze a meta just because Go Battle League's been, or Pokemon Go PvP in general, has been the same exact thing for a very long time. We still don't have health items, we still don't have abilities, or anything that really makes this super interesting. At least in the majority of the world. Because, you know, we pull in 10k per Twitch stream. Yeah, we don't pull in 10k. We get beat by cars that kick balls. Soccer balls, literally. That's the funny part about it. But anyways, before we get started, I have my therapist mental health tip of the day. So there's a lot of things that are going on in the world right now. So the reason I wanted to start this off is because I wanted to... There's a lot of bad things. But yeah, I want to start this off with a DBT technique. So what DBT is dialectical behavioral therapy. It's derived from cognitive behavioral therapy. I don't talk about enough about the history of it. You don't really need to know too much about that. But DBT really focuses on something called mindfulness. And what the mindfulness is being in the present and also a whole bunch of other things. But there's also this technique called urge surfing for dialectical behavioral therapy. So when I was in a DBT group, because I was in one for like a year or two for veterans, and I also run group therapy too, but it's not specifically towards DBT. But what urge surfing is, it's this technique to manage your unwanted behaviors. I'm gonna have a link to the worksheet from Therapist Aid. It's like this free resource all therapists use, including me, for all these free resources and worksheets to give to clients, etc. It's freaking amazing. So Therapist Aid, I'm gonna put this on the description, on the link below, on the description below. But what urge surfing is, it's a technique for managing your unwanted behaviors. So my last tip for my last video, I said you don't have to play PvP, right? So if you have the urge to do your battles or the urge to do anything else, for example, if there's something on social media right now that is really causing you distress or you feel like you have to respond to it, this technique is actually used to stop or reduce drug and alcohol use and emotional actions such as blowing up when angry, gambling, or other unwanted behaviors. Sound familiar, right? When you feel like you have to maul, you don't actually have to maul. If you're able to catch the urge and the trigger, then you can go ahead and acknowledge it. So here's how you practice urge surfing. So acknowledge you are having an urge. For example, I play Apex Legends Mobile, and I play Apex Legends, I want to queue again. So I have the urge to queue again because I did really bad the last match or my squad got wiped. So then notice your thoughts and feelings without trying to change or suppress them. So notice. So let your feelings flow. You have to process feelings. So when someone tells you to be positive all the time, that doesn't work all the time because they process things differently and you process things differently as well, and at different paces. So that's why some person that has no idea what they're talking about and obviously is not a mental health specialist is going to tell you to be positive and don't think about it. When the reaction is, you actually have to notice them. So notice me, senpai. Yeah, notice your feelings. And 3, remind yourself, it's okay to have urges, they're natural, and it's not a must. I can have this feeling and choose not to act, and some discomfort is okay. You don't have to change it. So urges are temporary. So once you learn these urges and once you feel these urges, then you can stop. For example, you have a battle. You don't want to battle anymore. You don't have to battle anymore. That's the thing. So, what's your trigger? Okay, I tilted in Go Battle League. This sucks. I can't do anything about it. B, after you have your trigger, acknowledge, remind you, and then look at it, saying, okay, I didn't really do that bad, or like, oh, okay, it's just another battle. That's the way I do things. And 3, it passes. So, the urge. This is vital for Pokemon Go PvP because you can still only battle 25 battles a day. So if you have the urge to battle after that, and you do like an alt, so you could practice more, or get that dopamine effect of winning, then that's not necessarily that bad, but you're not really practicing your urges. It's okay to lose, it's okay to win, it's okay to feel. So practice those urges, practice catching yourself when you feel in those moments, and then stop. A good example of this would probably be me for MMA. When I shoot and I have the urge to, shooting and wrestling is basically you go for a takedown. If I go for a takedown and I continue to do the takedown despite the fact that my opponent has really good defense, so they're stuffing my head, or they have an underhook or something of that sort, if I push the urge to continue to run them over, I'm probably going to complete my takedown, but 90% of the time I'm probably not. So I have to stop that urge and then I have to think of do something else. That's the thing, when you do combat sports, you stop your urge. So that's how it goes in PvP. But without further ado, here is my urge, and my urge must be to give you the top 5 teams for the Great League Remix for Season 11. Without further ado, let's get started. Alrighty, so for my first team, if you want to be really spicy and you do have one, Hakamo, Lickitung XL, and Ninetales to close out. Hakamo is actually a really interesting lead. It is not Komodo, so it's not the final form, but the second form actually does work just because of the fact it has Brick Break. Yes, Brick Break is a terrible move, but in this instance, Brick Break actually makes it so that it can absolutely beat the unholy crap out of your opponent just because of it stacking up, and Dragon Tail does a lot of damage, especially if you're able to sneak Dragon Tails through charge moves, which is really happening a lot nowadays because Go Battle League is broken. But yes, if you do have a Hakamo, you do want to try this team out, it's actually pretty interesting. My friend has one, so he used it against me, and I was just like, wow, this thing is really... yeah, it definitely is interesting. So Hakamo, if you want to have some fun, Hakamo, Lickitung XL, and Ninetales to close out. Really balanced across the board, and if you look at the overall meta, you can actually bully your way through Registeel if you want to. Brick Break is very funny. As you see here, you could, if you are able to get one Dragon Tail through and extra one through, you can literally straight Brick Break Registeel to Oblivion. It's freaking hilarious. Well, not Oblivion, but if you manage to get an extra Dragon Tail through, you can actually flip this matchup straight Brick Break. That's why Brick Break is normally known as one of the most terrible moves in the game, but in this case, it's actually pretty dang good and it's hilarious. If you look over here, Hakamo is able to defeat a lot of meta picks. Remember I told you you're able to beat Araquanid 2-shield, you can actually beat Marowak 2-shield, you could actually even beat Frostless into 2-shield. Hakamo in the 2-shield is actually able to beat Frostless straight Dragon Claw, as you see here, just because Dragon Tail does so much damage. So if you look over here, it does 11 damage per, and it is able to outpace Frostless. So this is what makes a Hakamo super dangerous. If you want to run Spice, and you want to do this, it's a very powerful mine. With only falling to Chansey, Lickitung, Lycanroc, and Phalanx as its main weakness, your threat score is going to be really high in the Great League Remix with the way everything kind of plays out right now as far as the bans. But this team is very, very powerful. As you see, you only have, those 4 are basically just super thick mons. If you lose the lead, you could say switch in Lickitung and Ninetales can close out. Hakamo, again, very interesting lead, super spice pick, and can actually run through a lot of popular leads in this meta if you decide to use it. And now, for my second team, we got Alolan Marowak Shadow lead, Lickitung XL safe switch, and Hitmontop to close out. Alolan Shadow Marowak is pretty broken just because of the extra shadow damage giving Shadow Bone more power and the fact that Shadow Bone can debuff. Yay, that's a big lie, Niantic. When you said you weren't going to release anything or do any, well, you know, I don't know who plays the Pokemon, who works in the Pokemon Go PvP team, but it's not just movesets that make something strong, it's also stats, and Shadows don't operate the way they do in the main series game, so yeah. They shouldn't even operate this way. No, seriously, a Pokemon, like, Shadow Pokemon aren't you're supposed to purify them. That's what kind of irks me. That's what kind of, like, irks me about it. Like, what am I, like, Pokemon Go doesn't follow Pokemon enough, and this is really misleading. As someone that played XD Gale of Darkness in Coliseum, I'm pretty sure y'all have played it as well, Shadows aren't supposed to work that way. But yeah, because Pokemon Go, yeah, freaking Pokemon Go. You can't work and you can't do anything right. But as you see here, this team is Bs across the board, good generalist team across the board, and is able to do a lot of damage. Alolan Marowak Shadow is the number 2 lead for a reason. Outside of the normal types, it can absolutely body and destroy everything else in the meta, including things like Araquanid, because Araquanid doesn't have Bubble, but that's a lot of X's in the lead. So if you lose the lead with Alolan Marowak, which would likely be against these normal types, you can send in Lickitung for a safe switch. Lickitung if you mirror Lickitung against another Lickitung, would be great, and Hitmontop is there to take away those normal types. Hitmontop is really interesting because of the fact it has Stone Edge in close combat. With close combat, you can one-shot Alolan Marowak. You can close combat the normal types, and with Stone Edge, you can beat Shadow Alolan Marowak. High threat score overall, you will lose against things like Komodo, Noctowl, and Mandibuzz can effectively wall you. You can try Fire Blast Alolan Marowak Shadow, but it's really risky. Because if you start building up to 7, if you're facing someone that's decently good or has a lot of some awareness, they'll know you have Fire Blast and will likely shield said Fire Blast. But yes, what makes that really dangerous is that you have Noctowl and Mandibuzz, which can effectively wall you, and the normal typings do very good against you unless you have Fire Blast. So if you want to negate that weakness to normal types or to flyers, use Fire Blast. But again, it's very risky, and outside of that, if you lose the lead, say switch, and then try to close out with him on top or an AWAC with shields. Next up, we got Whiscash, Vigoroth, and Mandibuzz. So this team is pretty much kill Alolan Marowak. Yeah, Vigoroth doesn't have a great matchup against Alolan Marowak. However, if Shadow Alolan Marowak does not shield Bulldoze, 9 times out of 10, you are probably going to die. So, with that being said, Mandibuzz walls Alolan Marowak. This team has a ton of bulk and a lot of consistent damage. It will do a lot of pressure, and Whiscash is actually a beast in this meta. It's able to take out all the steel types as well as Alolan Marowak itself. So, puts a lot of pressure on you, and with the lack of a grass type presence outside of things like Tropius and Meganium, this team does really well. But Alolan Marowak Shadow does a really good job of scaring said grass types away unless it's a Meganium, because if a Meganium is able to Earthquake through shields or gets enough energy down shields, it can absolutely wipe out Alolan Marowak. This team is very strong against things like Registeel and Alolan Marowak. That's a lot of X's. But also Mandibuzz does really well against things like Lickitung and, of course, the Alolan Marowak. So as you see, this team covers and has a ton of bulk and has a good amount of pressure outside of Mandibuzz, because Mandibuzz, even though this has an A for consistency, Mandibuzz with Air Slash isn't the spammiest thing in the universe. This team will only virtually lose to, as you see, well, Galvantula isn't really I don't know why it's like, it has a pretty low threat score, but Galvantula, you're probably going to see a lot of them. Galvantula is resisted by Whiscash, and Galvantula is going to get absolutely roasted by Shadow Alolan Marowak, so just putting that out there. Along with that, you're not going to see a lot of electric types on here, and Whiscash can get outpaced by things like Vigoroth, Sirfetch'd, and Cresselia. You can still see things like Sirfetch'd and Cresselia, but again, Shadow Alolan Marowak kind of scares a lot of them away. If you lose the lead with Whiscash, say switch into Viggy, and then Mandibuzz and Whiscash can hopefully take the matchup for you. But this team has a really low threat score. Again, a lot of the threat score is going to be obscenely high just because of the way the bans play out. So everything's going to be above like 600. But either way, lots of pressure, very available team, especially these three Pokemon have been out for a while. So if you like pressure, you like bulk, this team is for you. Alright, next up we got Pelipper say switches. So the Burb returns. And with the lack of electric, well, there are good electric types in there, but Pelipper is a good say switch in general for Open Great League, and for Great League Remix, that doesn't really change. We have regular Stunfisk, which is a beast for its ability to take out Alolan. It basically functions like Whiscash. Whiscash with a discharge. So Stunfisk does a great job of having a great opportunity to kill flyers, well, Whiscash could technically kill flyers too, but Blizzard takes a while to get to. So if you like spamming more and you don't like Daddy Cash taking your money, or using Daddy Cash to take said player's money, do you KO them like in the regular Pokemon game, and then you kill that little bug trainer whatsoever, and you take their money? Yeah. What's an anime where people kill stuff and take money? Oh, One Piece. Well, no, One Piece, well, technically yes, but One Piece doesn't really do much of the pirate thing. It's just a whole bunch of superpowers and people fighting each other. Yeah, not so much pirating, from what I remember. It's gonna take 9,000 years before they find the Grand Line. No, seriously. Apparently, they're only like halfway done with the story. That's the longest running anime forever, and I remember back in the day when I watched it, and it was nuts. But anyways, it's shocking that it's not done yet. Literally. But you have Stunfisk, Pelipper, Say Switch, and Registeel to close out. We got one of the most powerful Open Great League meta Say Switches, and this one, and then we're just using Stunfisk because, well, Galarian Stunfisk's cousin, which is the regular Stunfisk. The OG Stunfisk, not the big metal bear trap one. This team has a ton of bulk and great grades across the board. Does really well against overall meta, and the key thing here is it puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. That's because of every one of these mons spams a lot, and with Registeel having that new Zap Cannon move, it's overpowered, and it does really well in the closing scenario if your shields are down, or if it even has an energy lead. This team has a very low threat score of 672, so that everything's above 600, so my brain kind of oops. For those of you that read PV potential threats, anything below it's normally below 600 that's really low, and anything above 600 or close to 600 is like decent, and if it's like way above like this ranking, it's really not bad, but you have a lot of threats. This is one of them. Well, that's just the entirety of Great League Remix. Most of everything's going to be 650 or above, so there's always going to be a lot of threats. So yes, no one team is going to absolutely obliterate another. Just putting that out there. But for this team, as you see here, Koff Rodriguez, Komomo, Meganium, Mew, and Lickitung, basically anything super thick, can have a chance against this entire team. Now, the thing about it is, this is the 1 shield. So when you look at potential threats, it sims everything on the 0 and 1 shield scenario, not the 2 shield. That's why this isn't really absolute. And that's why this team still does really well, just because its ability to take shields and pressure. If you lose the lead with Stunfisk, switch to Pelipper and close out with Registeel. Pretty simple. It's not really super, yeah, this team is not super complex, just like a lot of other combinations in the Great League Remix for Season 11. Because it's like the same thing as everything else, for the most part. And last but not least, we got ABB, Registeel, Pelipper, and Mandibuzz. This is kinda, it's kind of not a true ABB because it doesn't go from the primary typing, but it has double typings in the back. Yeah. Here we are, like literally 2 years later, and are like almost 3 years in Go Battle League, and yes, my brain melts because this concept still works a lot. But what you have is Pelipper and Mandibuzz to cover Registeel's weaknesses. Registeel's weaknesses would of course be fighters as well as ground types, and that's what Pelipper and Mandibuzz is for, as well as a Shadow Alolan Marowak. Now, there is an issue with this team, though. The reason why so many things have high threat scores in no matter what combination you use for the Great League Remix is because one Mon has 2 charge moves that can cover a lot of the meta. That's the basic reason why everything has a high threat score, just because there are so many coverage moves out there. A lot of bulk, good cover, good grades across the board for the rest of it, and it does really well against overall super meta. However, there is one particular Mon that's going to do a lot of damage here. As you see, a low threat score of 661, but Stunfisk, the regular Stunfisk, can absolutely body this team. The reason why is because Stunfisk has, remember I told you about that coverage? It can beat all 3 of these. With Registeel, you could try to sack Registeel in the lead and close out with Pelipper and Mandibuzz. As you see here, if your G-Fisk is going to, or like the regular, not G-Fisk, regular Stunfisk has to expend both of its shields to beat Registeel. In the 2 shield scenario, you will force shields. So as you see in the 2 shield, you will force shields, and you can kind of like manipulate the matchup to where you can make it to where you can have Pelipper, you can shield 1, because if you don't want to die, if Stunfisk doesn't want to die, it has to shield both Focus Blasts. Because 1 Focus Blast will do 75 damage. So you could try to sack Registeel in the lead, come out with Pelipper, and then have Pelipper get some extra energy to Weather Ball, and hopefully Mandibuzz can close out, but that's what you're going to have to do. You have to take out Stunfisk, or Stunfisk kills you for this team. If your opponent doesn't have a Stunfisk, this team can do very well. Another caveat, though, is also electric types. Things like Ampharos, and Minun. But because electric types are a little scarce, just because of the fact ground types still exist in this meta, and the normal types are actually very powerful against the electric types in here, because a lot of the electric types don't have a lot of bulk. And along with that, Lickiting's Power Whip can take out Stunfisk. So that's the reason why this team only has a threat score of 661. So it's very weird, but because of the fact that electric types aren't going to be too plenty in this meta, this is why we have this team. But as you see, despite the fact that it does have that big glaring weakness, or that 1 Mon that can take you out, it still has a very low threat score of 661, which is the lowest one out of all 4 of these. I'm pretty sure you could make the one that's lower than this one as well, but like I mentioned, there's too many coverage moves out there, and it's just going to make your brain hurt if you try to go deeper than this. Because Pokemon Go PvP isn't really that deep. It's rock, paper, scissors, y'all. And that's GG's. Yeah, it's really, it's good. Yeah, this cup sucks. Well, the Great League Remix used to be a little bit... The biggest problem with Pokemon Go PvP is this. Here's a pool of a meta. Now, when you have this would be something called like a healthy meta. Like, you know, something like this. This is what Pokemon Go PvP does. This is the meta. This giant pool of destruction that just really doesn't do anything. Because of the fact that everything in here, everything in here could be so powerful, this is kind of really intimidating for newer players because they're like, I have to do all this work just to get here. And that's what makes it really bad, or Pokemon in general. Pokemon in general have a high barrier to entry, and that's lowered over time because of like hack mons, etc. Or they made it a lot more friendlier, but it just shows that like Pokemon Go PvP just kinda ain't it. Unfortunately, with the way Pokemon Go PvP has been out, once the official tournament comes out and the new TP system comes out, which is absolutely terrible to begin with, it's going to be really mind-blowing because, yeah, it's Pokemon Go PvP kind of feels like a second job, rather something that I can open up like Apex or like Unite and I can just casually play it. Over time, Pokemon Go PvP will slowly simmer and die out unless the system changes, or you're going to see the exact same people playing the game. So when you say something grows, we have the same people competing in multiple different regionals. That just shows you how desperate they are. And last time I checked, not a single regional has broken triple-digit competitors yet, which is actually pretty bad. Yeah, but it's just what it is. I really wish they kind of changed, like, instead of focusing on these new cups, that they really worked on changing the system or changing something that works for them, because they obviously can't fix this one. So there are my grievances. And it just shows because they're recycling Great League Remix to oblivion. If you ban 25 Pokemon, it doesn't matter when you have a meta of 100 Pokemon that can be very good. That's just what it is. But it's what it is. It's Niantic. Can't really expect them to do much. It's Niantic. But hopefully y'all are doing well. Do me a huge favor, please like and subscribe and comment for the YouTube algorithm. And I stream on Twitch. I just won't be streaming this week just because I want to take a break from streaming, and yeah, I'm just not interested right now until the next season starts. But with that being said, Pokemon Go PvP it's going to take another 3-month kind of interlude. Yeah, rank is going to come back, but there are no move updates, and there's really nothing out there other than, I would say, like Go Fence or like casual gameplay events that are really going to make things exciting right now. Hopefully you're still excited to play. I'm not, but yeah. Remember that urge thing I told you about? I don't have the urge to play PvP, which is good because I could do other things like make content, work on other things as my main job as a therapist, and yeah. But hopefully y'all are enjoying your Go Battle League sets. Hopefully y'all are doing great, and hopefully y'all are excited for the next season, or you're gonna casually play the next season like I am. So good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see y'all on the next video.
That I made, all the things that I have craved, these are what I could have saved.